Today, I'm going to talk about my case study. Basically, this was my research that I did in Senegal, and I was quite interested in looking at how Sufism or Sufi or ascetic teachings inspire women to become eco-friendly and how they nurture these practices further. So I would like to, yes.
Sorry, Sobia, can I just interrupt? Do you mind putting on your video?
Oh, sure. Didn't I? Sorry. Yeah. Is this okay?
We can see your screen, but if you wanted to just put your video on so we can see you, but it
I've turned on camera.
really matter.
Everybody can see me. Okay. So I think, yeah, so basically the case study or the Sufi group that I explored to understand, it's basically an exploratory study. I would like to introduce you to few terminologies if you're not familiar with them, because these are either Wolof or Arabic. So the word muqaddam or muqaddama is somebody who is a spiritual educator in Sufism or Sufi circles, and who have ijaza or agency to initiate people to their Sufi order or Sufi circle. And Faida is basically a Sufi order that I studied for this case study. Faida literally means flood, and it was introduced by Sheikh Ahmed al-Tijan. So this Faida is basically a sub branch of Tijani Sufi order, and Faida was founded by Ibrahim Nias, and Tijaniya is a Sufi order that is quite prevalent in North and West Africa. And again, the founder of Tijaniya Sufi order is Sheikh Ahmed al-Tijan. Like I give you a brief overview of what I was intended to explore in this study. And I wanted to see basically the role of female muqaddamas that is quite unique to this particular Sufi order of Faida that Ibrahim Niaz introduced or initiated that female could also lead or could become a spiritual educators in this Sufi order. I.e., they have the agency to initiate disciples into order, whether it's male or female. So they have the equal authority as a male muqaddam could have in that particular Sufi order of Tijaniya. So this something really intrigued me, because these Sufi female muqaddamas use the entitlement of spiritual mothers. They were treating their disciples as their mothers. And this is something that made me to reflect how this can be relatable to ecofeminism, because essentially ecofeminism is also talking about the reconnection of women and nature. But again, Sufi teachings and ascetic teachings, how it actually inspired the link of environment, feminism, and Sufism in this particular area. And like I have given you overview of what Faida and Tijaniya is, and this Tijani Sufi order is immensely influenced by the teachings of Ibn Arabi, who was an Andalusian Muslim scholar, philosopher, and mystic. And like I said, this Faida is a sub-branch of Tijaniya, founded by Ibrahim Nias in 1929. Since ecofeminism is very diverse, it has multifarious perspectives, because but for this study, I have only focused on 4 ecofeminist standpoints. From socioeconomic perspective, the scholars like Shiva and Miller talks about how capitalist patriarchy facilitate degradation of women's bodies and nature, particularly in the third part of the world, in developing world, and how neoliberal development paradigms induced inequities at different levels of society. And linguistic and symbolic perspectives on ecofeminism are essentially how we define women and nature. We have the concept of Mother Earth and how we perceive nature. In Greek ancient concept, there's the concept is quite prominent that they perceive nature as nurture and mother, but modern development paradigms perceive nature as dead, machine, and passive. And the spiritual ecofeminist standpoint in my study mainly emphasized on how religious or the religious teachings or imaginaries that we have in scripture facilitate or give perspective of egalitarianism in different Judeo-Christian backdrops, mainly in biblical scriptures. And epistemological is again a Western knowledge paradigm or epistemological paradigm that creates a demarcation between being objective and subjective, emotional versus rational. And however, in terms of ecofeminist epistemological standpoint, nature and women are always undervalued because of their qualities being kind of how capitalism or neoliberal is perceiving them, in terms of though women have really close connection with nature, being custodians of nature, they are epistemologically privileged, but their values, their perceptions are not really taken into account at a wider level of environmental policy, I would say. So, but women are the ones who face the damage caused by environmental degradation. So like I said, this was a case study in which I deployed feminist ethnographic approach, and I conducted interviews, both informal and formal. I didn't get visa to go to Senegal due to some issues and time constraints, but I did it virtually and in person, and like I used basically WhatsApp and Zoom, like e-means. So what is the essence of ecofeminism in Tijani Sufism? Basically, they admire the teachings of, for Tijani, for the disciples of particularly Faida, they have a strong importance, like they have strong adherence to the teachings of what their Sheikh Ibrahim had taught them. As female muqaddama, like I interviewed female muqaddamas and male muqaddamas for this study. And one of the female muqaddama gave me an analogy of how linguistic and symbolic perspectives of ecofeminism are prevalent in the teachings of their faida, mainly said by Sheikh Ibrahim Niaz. There are two kinds of worlds, Alam al-Akbar, visible thing, and Alam al-Asghar, that is hidden or small world. And everything that is in nature is in the human beings. And further, she gave me an example of what the percentage of water in the human body is somehow similar to the percentage of the water that we have on this earth. And further, they give me more insights about female, like the human body anatomy, that we have bones, we have hair. Similarly, in the nature, there is kind of, we have mountains and grass. So they see nature something really close to them, not only from the teachings of their Sheikh Ibrahim Niaz, but they have really strong culture of Quranic schooling that also somehow inspires them to see the nature connection in a very connected or in a very strong way. So these are the mystical and mythological examples usually explained to Sheikh Ibrahim Niaz in audio recordings that they have only in Wolof. And the main features of Faida, Tijani Sufism, and their role in promoting eco-feminist practices. So they have the spiritual eco-feminist position was really prevalent, as one muqaddama highlighted that they have a manual which is called Ruhul Adab that gives instructions how to be in their tariqa. So they're the stages that she highlighted, that in order to be in tariqa, purification is very important. That means cleansing yourself, cleansing your environment, and helping and encouraging good for your environment, and encouraging other to do same for your environment. If all these qualities are inhabited by these female muqaddamas, they actually teach their disciples to do these things. So it's a really interesting think that they further facilitate other people either to encourage, either to do in number of ways that I'll discuss further. And ML Muqaddama also mentioned the purification of human body, human soul, and to be in union with the Allah or God. But there were some interesting variations in terms of the Sufi rank and ecofeminist practices. Majority of my participants were male and female muqaddamas who were in leadership position, but there were only a disciple who had a really different point of view based on what their Sufi order or what are their teachings on women and environment. So this female muqaddama is really active. So she was discussing more ideas from socioeconomic standpoint. She was really active in environmental policy, environmental ministry of Senegal, where she started her journey in terms of both religious leadership, also in terms of environmental leadership. Once she started, when she became muqaddama, and she is leading a campaign, one woman, one tree, one young man, one tree, and she's leading a network of women entrepreneurs in Senegambia region. So this is something they get inspiration from their teachings of Sufism. And similarly, another female muqaddama, another female muqaddama had the same perception how Sufism or being a muqaddama is more emancipating and empowering, while a male disciple who thinks that his life mission is to be to take care of the environment. It's not something that he's not only obliged to, but it's something he sees this is his religious purpose. It was also interesting to see from epistemological standpoint that to what extent these communities are see the essence or significance of indigenous or traditional knowledge. But there was again a little variation or hierarchy that I saw when I was discussing how they perceive indigenous knowledge or traditional knowledge. As female muqaddamas mentioned the essence of herbs or plants and why it is important, why certain plants are important for their homes, which were actually advised to them by their sheikhs. However, there was a senior male muqaddam who reported that not all the knowledge that's there on indigenous or either traditional, which is eco-friendly, it's not accessible to everybody in their tariqah. Interestingly, none of the female muqaddamah reported that there is some sacred knowledge in their tariqah that cannot be accessible by everybody. But this actually projected a hierarchy how men and women in the tariqah could access and could know about what is already there in terms of kind of epistemic hierarchy depicted and relationship between human and nature. So this is really interesting that women really see the feminine qualities and qualities in terms of their language, how a female muqaddama is reporting this mother is earth, as it resonates a lot of qualities with me. Earth is a symbol of motherhood and fertility, and further she mentions that how this particle for she in French is la terre, is she. Similarly, we use the she particle for earth. So there's a very close and intimate relationship. She mentions that she sees with the earth or planet. And Mel Muqaddam took spiritual standpoint in explaining the broad relationship between human and nature that he further generally talks about how the nature construction in terms of what is the celestial, terrestrial, and human animal planet. So this is a very general thing that is being said by Mel Muqaddam. Like I said previously, there was some differences in terms of accessing or knowing or deploying indigenous knowledge or traditional knowledge that is eco-friendly. But again, there was some also interesting things that appeared in this study, that female muqaddams didn't see that there is a um, gender difference in terms of accessing the knowledge or education. It's just they see their tariqah has emancipated them, there's equality and empowerment, and they really don't see any difference between men and women in terms of accessing anything in their tariqah. However, male muqaddams do consider the gender differences in terms of having female a custodian of earth or environment or nature. They know more about because of their gender roles maybe. So they do consider females more privileged in terms of knowing about environment and nature, but females don't really see that difference. What is the role of men in promoting ecofeminism? Because since I was trying to bring a gender balanced view on what ecofeminism is in Tijani Sufism, because feminism itself and particularly the ideas of Ibn Arabi are gender egalitarian in nature, where he only talks about differences of spiritual hierarchies. There's no any gender hierarchy in his ideas. So which made me to think more about if the men could also think their teachings of Tijani Sufism are somehow promoting ecofeminism or not. So what role they can play in nurturing those practices. So Mel Muqaddam again highlighted how spiritual ecofeminist position is really important, because in Sufi theology, women are not our slaves, but our friends and contribute equally. Some restrictions for women based on the Quran are not aiming to restrict her, but it is to facilitate her guard and dignity. So basically, it's not like I said, they have strong culture of Quranic schooling, and they have so the ideas or the things usually people think that these Quranic teachings or either some Muslim values and ideas could discriminate women, but they think this is something that there is culturally facilitate women leadership, because it's something already been there. And again, female muqaddamas had expectation that they should their male members in the tariqah should facilitate them or help them in empowering more people or in nurturing eco-friendly practices. So the conclusion of this study was that the spiritual ecofeminist standpoint was very prevalent. And after having these discussions and interviews with the female muqaddamas and male muqaddams, it appeared that the Sufism in ecofeminism in Tijani Sufism actually appeared as a spiritual movement. And once women started taking position of female muqaddamas, they expanded their position of leadership in other areas, and they started nurturing the ascetic practices which are eco-friendly based on the geography where they live in. So this is something that I concluded. Like in terms of socioeconomic and epistemological standpoints were like quite influential, where Sufi ranks and gender roles really affected to what extent one can flourish or one can promote ecofeminist ideas. But symbolic and linguistic perceptions of the participants were really personal. Sometimes it wasn't really easy to understand or to know what the actual meaning or what is the broader implication of that their ideas are. And again, like it was quite prominent, it was like explicit that women were in prominent positions of environmental related activism causes in Senegal. So this was something that I was able to explore through this study. Thank you.